In tonight's headlines, the Development Bureau and Construction Industry Council have launched a new program to encourage safety on work sites. Police ask taxi drivers to stop going undercover to try and tackle unlicensed ride-hailing services. And the president of Iran and the country's foreign minister were killed in a helicopter crash. Construction sites that have implemented smart safety construction system, such as offering smart safety helmets and smart watches to monitor high-risk activities, will now be recognized with a label. Development Chief Bernadette Lin says the newly launched program would encourage sites to increase their safety awareness.
呢一個計劃呢係會向適當咁樣安裝同埋應用呢一個系統嘅地盤呢係發出一個標籤，更好地講呢係一個牌匾嚟嘅，作識別同埋利便監察，鼓勵更多嘅地盤呢去採用。
We believe by providing construction sites with labels or plaques, which help to identify and facilitate monitoring of those sites that have properly installed and applied the system, would push more sites to adopt the smart site safety system, said Lin. The scheme, with an intent to accelerate the drive of smart safety sites and uplift construction safety through the use of innovative technologies, expects the participation of at least 500 sites. The first batch of labels are expected to be given out to 100 construction sites by July this year. The remaining sites will have their labels issued by the end of the year, covering over 60% of all local construction sites. Lin also mentioned that labels are to be displayed at strategic spots outside the construction sites for optimal recognition, and sites that don't perform site safety properly may risk having their plaque scrapped upon inspection. Janice Yu, Cable News.
姑勿論白牌車佢係咪犯法，應該都係由政府去執法嘅，就唔係應該係我哋市民執法。其實呢個嘢係鐵一般嘅事實。
Speaking on air this morning, Chow Kok-kearn, chairman of the Hong Kong Taxi and Public Light Bus Association, urged taxi drivers to be rational and leave the work of clamping down illegal ride-hailing services to the government. Chow's remarks came after online circulating footage showed taxi drivers going undercover as Uber passengers and lured their drivers to Kai Tak Cruise Terminal, where they'll be handed over to police officers for prosecution. Waiting officers have handled the cases as complaints and took down information of the drivers and their vehicles for record, but such acts from taxi drivers have rung an alarm to authorities, who have been delaying their acts to address the conflicts between the taxi industry and ride-hailing firms in a rational and pragmatic way. While Uber has been operating in Hong Kong since 2014, it has not been officially deemed as legal due to the city's lack of legislation for the regulation of ride-hailing services. Only 33 cases of unlicensed ride-hailing services were prosecuted last year, and the taxi trade is disappointed with the lack of action taken by authorities, said Chow. Ng Kwan Sing, vice chairman of the Hong Kong Taxi Council, has earlier stated such acts are merely behaviors of a few resentful individual taxi drivers and do not represent the taxi industry on a whole. Janice Yu, Cable News.
Hong Kong workers saw good gains to their pension fund accounts in May as global stock markets continue to rally. According to the Monetary Provident Fund consultant GUM, each MPF scheme holder earned an average of $8,099 or 3.3% in the first half of May. Scheme members also saw a year-to-date total return of $13,548, up 5.6% as of May 15. Investors of equity funds were the biggest winners, seeing a gain of 4.9% up till mid-May and a 8.9% return year-to-date. Hong Kong stocks rose by 7.2% in May, contributing to the strong performance of MPF equity funds. U.S. stocks rebounded 4.2% after April's adjustment. The low-risk default investment strategy fund saw a return of 2.6% in the first half of the month, while year-to-date has gained 4.4%.
Reporting from the crash site, Iranian state media revealed that the country's president, Ibrahim Raisi, was killed in a helicopter crash. Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian were returning from a ceremony to open a dam on Iran's border with neighboring Azerbaijan when their chopper crashed in the mountainous region of Iran's East Azerbaijan province near the village of Uzi, roughly 600 kilometers northwest of the capital Tehran. 7 others were also killed in the accident. Poor visibility due to low-hanging clouds and cooler than average temperatures hampered initial search operations to find the missing helicopter, which was heading to the city of Tabriz. Drone footage showed the crash site on a steep tree-covered hillside. The cause of the accident is not known yet. Beijing has expressed deep sorrow over the death of the Iranian leader.
习近平主席已经向伊朗第一副总统穆赫贝尔致唁电。
Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin said President Xi Jinping has sent a message of condolence on behalf of the Chinese government and the Chinese people over the death of President Raisi, and the Chinese government and people attach great importance to the traditional friendship between China and Iran. First Vice President Mohammad Muqbir has been appointed as Iran's acting president. Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei announced 5 days of public mourning. The death of 63-year-old Raisi couldn't have come at a more unstable time for both Iran and the region. At one point, he was considered a successor to Khamenei, who is 85. Raisi was elected president 3 years ago, having formerly led Iran's judiciary. Sachin Kadpi, Cable News.
William Lai Ching-te and his deputy Xia Bin-kim were sworn in on Monday at a ceremony in Taipei. The duo received the seal from Daniel Han, chief of the Legislative Yuan. Over 500 guests from 51 delegations attended the ceremony, including former officials from the United States. In his inaugural address, Lai promised to uphold the status quo in the Taiwan Strait and called on Beijing to work jointly for peace. He called to choose dialogue over confrontation, exchange over containment, under the principles of parity and dignity, and engage in cooperation. He also said prosperity gained through lasting peace and stability has been the island's objective. Beijing has slammed Lai's speech.
台独是死路一条。
Foreign Ministry spokesman Wang Wenbin stressed that Taiwan independence is a dead end. No matter under what name or excuse, pushing for Taiwan independence is doomed to fail. Lai also laid out 3 areas of focus on economic development, vowing to develop industrial sectors such as semiconductors and AI to maintain Taiwan's key position in the global supply chain. In Beijing, Taiwan Affairs Office spokesman Chen Binhua said while the mainstream public aspiration on the island is for peace and development, Lai has ignored public opinion, exposing his nature of being a worker for Taiwan independence. Bess Leung, Cable News. Hong Kong government was set to step back from an overdue plan to keep the securities market open during adverse weather. It has been widely expected that details on the new arrangements will be released by mid-year after consultation ended earlier this year. But local media reported that authorities prone to implement the new measures after the typhoon season ends this year, as they want to give the industry enough time to prepare for such changes. Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Christopher Hui reiterated that consensus has been reached on the policy to be implemented, and details are expected to be finalized by mid-year.
其實唔存在呢個延遲嘅問題嚟嘅。
Hui said the authorities have been having a clear timeline for policy implementation, so it is not a matter of postponement or not. Details will be announced in mid-year, and once the industry is ready, they will push forward with the changes, he said. He also added that the new arrangements involve lots of details, including front-end transaction, back-end settlement, as well as settlement process with brokers, and all these need time to finalize. Meanwhile, Hong Kong Exchange said they are working closely with market stakeholders, including the government and other financial supervisory institutions, and they are looking forward to review more details within this quarter. Bess Leung, Cable News.